Up? What up, everybody? Benji Bruce here, Speaking Lifestyle, and today we're going to talk about a little behind the scenes stuff in terms of presentations tips for your live streaming, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is. I just want to go over some, let's see who's hopping on real quick. I just want to go over some simple presentation skills in terms of keeping people's attention, just doing what you got to do, not sounding stiff or not being stiff when you're presenting and all that. I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes in terms of what I do, the notes, all that sort of stuff, as much behind the scenes as I can give you. Unfortunately, I can't show you the actual setup. If you guys are on Instagram, then I'll do stories in terms of Instagram. You'll be able to see the setups and everything. But right now, I'll talk about the setup in just a second. Let's see who's hopping on real quick. What's up, Nick, Kathy, Wani? What's up, people? All the other people who hopped on that I couldn't see. All right. So like I said, we're just going to talk about a simple behind the scenes presentation tips in terms of doing live streaming, because several times I've gotten emails or Instagram message where people say like, Benji, you make live streaming look easy. You make the lives look easy. I say, well, I know I do, but, that's just how I roll. It's the purple. No. So people say like you make the live streaming look easy, and it is easy when you do it a lot, but in the beginning, it's just like anything to where you're naturally going to suck at it. You're naturally, let's say you're doing it from your phone or whatever, you're just going to start out stiff as all hell. That's what she said. So you're just going to hit record or hit live, and then bam, you're just going to tense up. That's what a lot of people do. They tense up. Like, hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about presentation skills. So that people tend to tense up and things like that. So I just want to talk about a little behind the scenes in terms of what I do with the live streaming and everything. If you haven't done a live stream, you can do it. You just need some balls. Like just freaking pull out your phones, be like, bam, go live and just do what you want to do. I will tell you that live streaming is very different than the short videos. And the short videos, I mean like the YouTube videos. So when you see me post the YouTube videos that are like the 5-minute videos, the edited ones that look cool as all hell, those videos are done in a very different way than the live streaming videos. The short videos, I don't think I ever take notes with the short videos. So the short videos are very simple. I just have a headline in terms of here's what I want to talk about. I know what I want to talk about. Maybe it's a story or something, tips. I'll come up with maybe 3 tips inside of my brain, but I don't really write stuff down when it's the short videos. And so from there, I literally pull out my phone, bam, phone or whether it's my other camera over there. I pull out one of them, bam, hit record. I'm good to go. And then bam, done. And so that's all I do with the short videos. All I'm really thinking with the short videos is what's the main idea that I want to communicate. That's all I'm thinking with those short videos. With the Facebook Live though, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, it's different. So first off, let me tell you a little bit about the setup since you can't actually see it. Right here in front of me is the camera. This camera is the Canon XF 400. It's camcorder. So the reason I chose this is because it does a couple things. One, because I'm in the high rise, the lighting is very, very different than everywhere else, like literally everywhere else. You need so much light, it's ridiculous. And this camera has what's called a 1-inch sensor, meaning a lot of light comes into it. So it just helps with the actual filming. So I chose this camcorder because it records longer than 30 minutes. The DSLR cameras, it records longer than 30 minutes. So when I do a podcast, which I haven't done in a while, but I'm going to do it again. When I do a podcast, I can record the whole thing on here. I strip out the audio. Bam, I have a podcast. Bam, I have a video. So there's a reason why I chose this. Also because the mic, it connects directly to the camera. If I were to use a regular DSLR camera, then I would have to buy something extra to connect this type of mic to the DSLR. So there's a reason why I chose that camera. And so right here in front of me, there's a camera or the camcorder. There's a tripod. It just sits here 24/7. I never move the thing. Like absolutely, I don't move the thing. Doesn't matter. I got other cameras. So I never move this camera. To the left, there's like a little arm thing. So it's like the arm looks like this, right? Ooh, look at them guns. Oh my goodness. I got to get a permit for this thing. So to the left, there's an arm thing, and the arm holds my phone. And so that's where I do the Instagram Live. Bam, do the Instagram Live. Right here, where both my hands are, well, further out, there are 2 lights. The lights are the Aputure Lights. So they're insanely bright. They're expensive, $700 a piece, but they're insanely bright. It works perfect for the high rise. So if I were to turn these lights off, see, bam, you can't see me. You're like, where did this beautiful face go? And so So the lights, it works perfect because they're insanely bright. I can dim them. I can turn it on and off with the remote. So that's why I chose those lights. Once again, I don't actually need these lights anywhere else other than this freaking high rise. When I moved into this high rise, some of you guys remember I was backlit, and literally this is what I was doing. I had freaking lights that I used to use, and I'm sitting there thinking, nobody can see me. Nobody, what the hell? And so it wasn't until I bought these lights that people could see me. So that's a little bit behind the scenes in terms of the actual setup. And by the way, this is the EV-RE27 mic that I use. And in terms of the actual live on Facebook, I use a software called Ecamm Live. So that's the actual equipment in terms of that. But let's actually talk about some other stuff, presenting and all that. So here's what I do with the actual live, the notes and all this. So first off, the sessions are scheduled. So I know what I'm going to be doing at like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. I know exactly which lives I need to create. And so what I do, I just go into Google Calendar. I used to use the iCalendar on my phone, but there were a couple times it didn't sync up. I was like, this is some bullshit. So I was like, fuck iCalendar. And so now I started using Google Calendar. And so I just schedule them inside of Google Calendar. All of them are scheduled for 9 a.m. I just say, all right, what do I want to talk about this day? Bam, I just put it on for 9 a.m. What do I want to talk about for this day? Bam, put it on for 9 a.m. I just type in the actual headline. What I do when I type it in is I put in one of those asterisk things. That's how you say it, those star thingamajiggers. So the asterisks, I put one of those in on the calendar to let me know that I haven't created the notes for that specific live session. So if there's that asterisk thing next to the headline in the calendar, it just tells me, Benji, you haven't finished the notes or you haven't created notes yet. Once I finished them, I just delete the asterisk thing. And so that's what I do in terms of that part. Now, the longer videos, aka only my Facebook lives, they always have notes. And what I mean by notes is I try not to write a lot. So if I write a lot, what I'm doing is you'll notice I glance over here. So I'm looking to see what's the bullet point I just made, and then I just talk about whatever I just have right there. So if I were to have a really long sentence or two, I'll have to sit there, I'll have to do this. I'll have to go, and then all of a sudden what we're doing is we're just deciding to, and I won't be looking at you. So what I do is I take these bullet points and I try to remove words that I don't need. So for example, one of these bullet points, it says increase size on screen. What I did put is I put increase size on computer screen. That's what I put at first. But what I do is I'll go back and I'll look at the notes and I'll say, what are words that I can delete? And I'll delete certain words because I'm not writing sentences on here. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to freaking write a thesis in college. I'm not trying to do that. So I go and I simply put on my computer screen or in the notes, I try to use as few words as possible. Sometimes it'll be longer, but even when I use, let's say the word because, I don't really use the word because, I put in B/C. So once again, instead of me reading the whole word because, it shortens it down to just 2 letters in the slash thing. So that way I can glance, bam, I see B/C. I know because. And so that's what I'm doing with the actual notes. So first, in terms of remembering, 1 is the bullet points. So obviously the bullet points. 2, I have to make sure that I can just glance over here. The reason for the bullet points is just so I can glance over here just to remind me what to say. When I tell stories, so sometimes I'll tell stories. I should probably tell more stories. But when I tell stories, I write the word story. So I write the word story right next to the bullet point. So there's a bullet point, then I write story, and then there's a colon, and then I write a couple words to remind me of what that story is. So for example, here, I wrote down story, Rich phone book. What that tells me is, oh yeah, my friend Rich back in the day when he pulled out the phone book and did a cold call and just booked some gigs by doing a cold call with the phone book. So it just reminds me of what that story is that I need to tell. If I were to tell a story about Finland, I'd put story Finland event. And then once again, I would say, okay, oh yeah, I remember the thing with the Finland event, and bam. So I would, that's what I do with the stories. So that's basically what I'm doing. And I do increase the size on my screen. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you ask right now, because when we're done, I'm going to come back to the questions. If there are no questions, I'm going to be like, deuces, you don't want to ask questions? Fine then. Didn't want you to ask questions. So what I do in terms of the screen size is I increase the screen size. So let me show you. let me show you the actual screen for those of you on Facebook. So here's what it looks like, right? So here's some of the bullet points. So notice here, and actually here's what it looks like without increasing the screen size. And then I actually increase the screen size, and then I move it over a little bit. So I increase the screen size. So once again, I can see these big words, or the words are just bigger on my screen. Right? So that's essentially what I'm doing in terms of the screen size. With that, so once again, it's easier for me to glance over and just see the actual word or the thing that I want to talk about. If it's smaller, then I got to look longer to actually see what I want to talk about. So that's why I do that. And then on top of that, so let me show you this. So I got this Mac, right? So I got this Mac, this big desktop Mac. And so it's over here to the side. I always make it so it's just out of view. People like literally, I'm just looking. It's got to be. Wait, hold on, let me look at the screen. All right, so it's got to be just out of view. Bam! See, it's just out of view for everybody except me. It's literally just right there. I'm touching it right now, and so it's just out of view for everybody. And so you. All right, so I'll answer that question. Wait, hold on a second. Someone said, "How do I share my screen?" It's popping up on here, but it's not popping up on here for some reason. Interesting. All right. So once again, ask questions. If I can't see the questions, yeah, I'll do that later. Basically, all right. So let me get back to that. Once again, remember, ask questions, and I'll come back to those questions later. So what I do in terms of the actual screen, so everything's over here, and I got this big desktop. So the actual Google Chrome is open up with the notes. It's open up. I move the Google Chrome browser over to the right side. So it's not full screen. So it's like, let's say this is the full screen of the desktop. The browser isn't taking up the entire desktop. The browser is just taking up this part of the right half. The reason is because when I share my screen, I'm on the bottom left of the screen. You can still see me on the bottom left. And also when I glance, I want to be able to move my eyes as little as possible to the left. So if it were over here, I would have to do, let's say it's right over here, I would have to go like this, versus if it's where it is over here, I simply have to do that. I just have to like look a little bit. So I just kind of move my eyes instead of having to move my head. I just have to move my eyes. So that's why I move it over in that sort of way. What you guys noticed when I shared my screen is that it was purple. And I'm not putting it in purple just because my color is purple. I put it in purple because what it tells me is I haven't presented this Facebook Live yet. So that's what the purple color tells me. So I don't want it in all black. I want it just in purple because it tells me, hey, Benji, you haven't done this yet. So if I were to scroll through all these notes that I have inside the Facebook Lives, I can scroll through everything and I can see black, purple. And I'm like, oh, bam. Okay, cool. So I haven't done this yet. So that's what purple tells me. So bam, I have the purple. Then I italicize the notes. So when I'm writing notes for the Facebook Live and I'm writing the bullet points, I write it in the italics. That way I know, hey, if it's slanted, these notes aren't finished. So if it's slanted, if it's in italics, I know the notes aren't finished, so I got to go back in whatever day and go finish the notes. Once I finish the notes and I say, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about during the Facebook Live, I now just straighten it back out. Just say, let's just bring it back to normal. So bam, it's now in purple. It's back to normal. I know, okay, this live is ready to go. When it's black, so once I finish this session, what I do is I highlight everything, I turn it back to black, I copy and paste the description, I copy and paste the notes into the description and the YouTube, all that sort of stuff. That's what I do when it turns black. So that's the purpose of the colors. So yeah. And then sometimes I write stuff, I'm like, what the hell did you mean, right? So remember how I take words out, and sometimes I'm like, what the hell, why are you talking about that? So sometimes I do that too. That's why you guys see me like stare at the screen like that, where I'm just like, because I'm trying to figure out what the hell did you say? So that's what I do. So now let's actually talk about the actual live show. So one thing, before I do the live, I turn the AC on. That way it's at least 70 degrees in here. Sometimes I'll do it colder, so maybe 68, 67, but I want it to be cold. I don't want it to be warm. I don't want to be sweating under these lights and everything. So I want it to be cold. And so a lot of times I'll just make sure that the temperature is good to go. And then in terms of, so now I'm like trying to look, see where the hell I was at. So now when I start the actual live, sometimes what I'll do is I'll come and I'll look to see the comments. Oh, and what you guys do notice is I have the desktop here and I have the iPad here. The iPad is literally just for the comments. That's the purpose. I'm just looking to see who's hopping on and all that. I don't want to go to the desktop and keep looking over here at the desktop and doing that. So I just do it with this. So that way I have notes here and then I have the live here, so I don't have to keep going over here and moving. And what you guys also should notice is the placement of the stuff as well. So notice that my keyboard and the mouse pad, it's just out of sight for the Facebook Live. For Instagram, people can see it on Instagram, but for Facebook Live, it's just out of sight. So all you see is me and then the iPad. The reason why this iPad is literally right here is because I have hue lights inside of this place. So when I move this, you see that light right there? Right there. See, I don't want people looking at that. So that's literally why this is right here. So you can't see the hue light. Because once again, I don't want people getting distracted. I don't want people, if I were to just have that, people are going to be like, what's that thing in the background? And so like my mom thought it was a candle. Someone else thought it was like I don't know, like some water or something for a pet fish or something like that. And so literally the reason why this is here is just so it covers that up, because I don't want people getting distracted. So that's the placement. Now let's actually talk about in terms of the presenting and all that. So first things first is when I start doing the actual live, I'll look to see in terms of who's coming on, and sometimes I'll actually make a remark. Like I see Ari popped on, Nick, what's up, Christy. So I'll do things like that. Lisa, how's it going? So I'll do things like that. I don't do it for a long time though. The reason is because I remember when people did webinars, people were doing all these webinars. They're like, what's up, Alex? What's up, Christy? What's up, Nick? What's up, Ari? What's up, Wani? What's up, so-and-so? And they're doing that for 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, get to the point. And so I hated when they did that. So I don't do that. So I just start the show. I start with what we're going to talk about. I say, hey, today we're going to talk about presenting in terms of doing live streaming. How do you present some presentation skills with live streaming? So I start immediately with that. That's what I start with. Then I'll come over and maybe I'll make a joke about the billions of people who hopped on, the 10, 20 billion people who hopped on, just because that's my style. So I'll do something like that. I'll say, hey, what's up, everybody? So I'll do things like that. At this point, I want to just get moving. So once again, I mean, I've watched those webinars where the idiots they're talking and talking about nothing. And I'm thinking, what the hell, man? Come on. Like, stop wasting my time. So I don't like wasting my time. I don't like wasting your time. I don't like wasting time at all. So I just get moving. I just say, all right, here's what we're going to talk about. Bam. If people hop on late, that's on them. They can go watch the replays, whatever they want. But I'm not going to sit there and just wait forever to actually get going. So I just want to, bam, just get going. And that's what I want to point out in terms of keeping the show moving. No matter what it is you're doing, you always want to think along the lines of keeping the show moving, keeping your live show moving. So when you keep saying the same things over and over and over again, people are going to get bored even if they like what you're saying. So that's why you have to just keep the show moving, and then bam, you just keep it moving. And so what I'm literally doing, I just want to get started fast. That's all I'm doing, is just get to the point. And then at that point, I do what I did earlier, where I say, hey, everybody, ask questions now, and I'll come back to the questions later. The reason, so in the beginning, I didn't do this. I didn't say, ask questions now, and I'll come back to them later. What I did is when I was done, I would then say, all right, what questions do you have? The problem with that is, people would, one, there's a lag time, like, I don't know, 15-second lag time or something between what you see now and then whatever. Basically, there's a lag time. So one, there was a lag time. So I'm sitting here waiting, and 15 seconds seems like eternity when you're doing a live, because when you're doing a live and you're waiting, it's called dead time. So you're sitting there, you're like, and so I just want to remove the dead time. And I learned that from being an entertainer. You remove as much dead time as possible. So like as an entertainer, when you're sitting there doing a show as a mentalist, there are times when you have to tell people, hey, actually, no, I'll give you a perfect example. So one of the things I do on my stage show as a mentalist is I would have 8 people. Is it 8? Yeah, about 8 people would be on stage. I would tell every single one of them to think of an object, just a random object. It can be a car, a coat, any type of object. Just make it a simple object. So I tell them all to think of an object. And then they're basically like writing it down. And so while they're writing it down though, there's dead time because, hey, some people are taking longer and all. So there's dead time. I can't just sit there on stage and say, all right, yeah, just write down what you're thinking. I can't just do that because people are going to be like, what the hell? And so what I do is there's the final person, the eighth person, I have them step up. I say, all right, actually you need to step up real quick. And so that person steps up. And I say, you aren't going to be thinking of an object. I want you to think of a number, a 2-digit number. And so at that point, I have them think of a number. And so what I do with this person, I don't actually need to do it at all. I don't need to do this whole thing. What I do is I have them center stage. Everybody else is writing down their, whatever they're thinking. Everybody else is writing down whatever they're thinking over here. This person steps center stage and I say, all right, have you ever been hypnotized before? They're like, well, I'm not going to hypnotize you, but what I need you to do is hold out your hand like this. And so they do that. And all this, by the way, I don't need to do any of this stuff for nothing. I don't need to do it. It's just filling it in the dead time. And so I just say, hold your hand out like this. I want you to just imagine the numbers, the 2-digit number just right there on your palm. Just imagine it just flashing over and over and over right there on your palm. And I'm holding their hand. So it's like their hand is here and I'm just holding it. And so I'm doing this. I'm like staring at them. So I'm holding their hand. I'm staring at them. Just imagine, just picture inside of your head. What I'm doing though is I'm actually using my peripheral vision to look at the other people to see, are they done writing? That's literally the purpose of that, is to fill the dead time. And that's what I think of when I'm doing Facebook Live, is I don't want any dead time. If I have dead time, that's when you lose people. So that's why I tell people, hey, ask questions now and I'll come back to them later. And so that's literally what I'm doing in terms of the questions, just reduces the lag time. It just reminds people to ask questions. You just want to keep reminding people, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. So you're just reminding them. Then in terms of the actual presenting, what I'm focusing on the most is just energy, just presence, charisma, whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm focusing on the most when I'm actually presenting. I'm not focusing on the words that I'm using or any of that. I'm just focusing on the actual energy that I'm using. I am an insanely quiet person, insanely quiet. Imagine the quietest person you know, then imagine me being more quiet than them. I see no reason to talk about what I already know. Because I already know certain stuff, so I'm just like, I don't really see a reason to just keep talking just to talk. And so if you see me in person, it's almost like I force myself to talk. Like literally, I just force myself to talk at times. Because I'm comfortable in terms of driving in a car, not saying a damn word. I'm comfortable literally just being around people, not saying a damn thing. And so if I were to do that on video, especially during a live session, then people would tune out. Just the fact. So that's why I really focus on the energy. What I'm ultimately doing is the energy is more along the lines of anger/passion. So when you guys see me like go off, like I just go off on people at times, and I just, especially when speakers say, can you book gigs for me? I'll give you a percentage. And you see me just go off, and I'm just like, you idiots. I just like freaking go off. What I do is I use my anger and it translates into passion, into energy, and I use my anger in presenting. And by doing that, it's just natural energy that just comes out. And so you don't have to worry about the actual words you're saying or nothing. It's just more you're transferring the energy, the anger that you have. And it's just like you're mad about something, like, dude, come on, you gotta go. And you're transferring that, and that is naturally compelling. So that's what I do. I try to talk about things that actually make me angry. I don't even want to say passionate, because passionate is, I don't know. I mean, passionate is just one of those normal words. I literally mean angry. Like literally when someone says, hey, can you book gigs for me? I'll give you a percentage. That literally pisses me off. I'm like, dude, you will absolutely never make it in business. You literally will fail in business. And so it pisses me off. And so I do that sort of stuff. I basically say what I feel. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say, all right, let me try to get these emotions inside of me, and then let me communicate that to them by trying to express these emotions into words. That's ultimately ultimately what I'm trying to do when I present, especially during Facebook Live. Everything is easier when you're pre-recording videos. It's really easy when you create those YouTube videos and everything, and it's just cut, and it looks cool. It's really easy. During a Facebook Live, though, you have to truly express that anger, passion, however you want to describe it. You have to essentially feel the feeling and express it in words. That's ultimately what you're trying to do. What I realized during the live sessions is that the more tactical or the more technical, the more detailed, the more people tune out. In the beginning, I thought, I'm going to come out so much detail is going to be ridiculous. I mean, literally these dummies with these paid programs, I mean, their paid programs won't be as good as my free freaking content, which it really isn't. But still, I was going to come out with so many freaking detailed videos in terms of like free Facebook Lives and everything. But what I realized is that people say they want it, but then they don't watch it. That's what happens. You're like, yeah, I really want the details on it. Oh, he came out with a detailed way of using a CRM. I'll watch it later. I'll come back to it. Yeah, I'll watch the replay. And then they never do. And on the other hand, when you just come out with basic motivational stuff, people tend to say, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And so that's what happens. So it doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter what people tell you. They will tell you, I want the details, the tactical stuff. It doesn't matter what they say. I guarantee you, your best content, your best Facebook Live will be the one that doesn't have all the details. So that's why I rarely go into insanely detailed stuff. Even like right now, a lot of people think this stuff is detailed. It's really not. In terms of level of detail that I truly operate at, it's not detailed at all. Because I noticed the more detail you're in, the more likely people tune out. And so you have to focus on creating the content that motivates. And the content that motivates is when you're expressing that anger, that passion. Because once again, you're getting other people to feel that. You're getting other people to feel the way you feel. So that's really what I'm doing in terms of the level of detail in the content. Then what I'm thinking about, or what you want to think about, is just developing your style in general. The style is probably the hardest thing for people to do, because when you start doing a live session, it's live, pre-recorded, whatever, what happens is people, they get stiff. And I don't know why it happens. Literally, it just happens damn near with everybody. They just start recording. Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about how to make money. And so that's just what happens. It's really weird. And so you have to develop your style. My style is, hey, I'm a sarcastic person. I just think, how am I around friends? And so I'm wondering if I should say this. Yeah, you might as well. So basically, around friends, I basically figure out what's the funniest part with a friend, and then how can I kind of be sarcastic around it? So, for example, my friend, he's coming here next week, really religious guy. So I think, okay, I make this joke about me being God. And so he has a kid. And so, or they're about to have a kid. And so I told him, I was like, well, I mean, I just make jokes about the names of the kids. And so he told me the names of the kids, the boy and the girl names, and they're biblical names. I said, I feel like I should probably just have a kid and just name him Jesus. And I said, the only one who's going to get that joke would be you, because, God, Jesus as a son, right? And so that's literally the stuff that I do around my friends. And so I think to myself, why don't I just do that in an actual video? And like when I'm actually presenting. So that's why I tend to be sarcastic when I'm actually presenting in stuff. I know that people do tune out, that people are like, that's not funny. That's not funny. I don't care, because one, I'm like, sarcastic people, I know sarcasm is linked to intelligence. So I'm like, if you don't find it funny, you're probably dumb. So I know that. And then two, it's just a matter of you're just naturally being you. So what you ultimately do is you just figure out your style by being more of who you are on video, and especially during a live stream. So that's ultimately what I'm doing. Understand that nobody or not everybody's going to like your style no matter what. So you might as well just be your own style, be the style that you want to be. So that's in terms of the style. The worst style, like I said, is just being professional. That is hands down the worst style, when you're just all professional. You're like, hi everybody, today we're going to talk about presentation skills. Like, it is hands down the worst style, because it's so damn boring. You're just all stiff and everything. That's what she said. The best style is storytelling. This is a style that I don't actually have. And by the way, guys, I keep saying that's what she said because I keep watching the show The Office. I just recently started watching that show. I'm like, this show's hilarious. And they keep doing that that's what she said thing. So the best style is storytelling. Storytelling is a style that I don't use enough of, but it is one of the best styles out there because it keeps people's attention for the entire duration. Literally the entire duration. Right now, the way I keep people's attention is based on my style and just energy in general. You can have low energy, you can have no style whatsoever, be professional, boring sounding like, but if you tell a story, people will pay attention to you. So the storytelling is hands down one of the best styles. Here's what you do when you're telling stories, and I'll literally come out with a whole live just on storytelling. When you tell stories, you have to relive the story in your head. That's what you have to do, and you express how you felt when you're telling the story. So that's the best way to tell stories. You're basically reliving what happened inside of your brain. You're not telling it in a scripted way. So you're not like looking at a script and telling the story. You're simply reliving it in your head. So you're just describing how you feel ultimately. So, and once again, when I tell the stories, I mark it as story in the bullet points so I can just see, bam, story. Then what I'm doing in terms of the wording that I'm using is I think it's more along the lines of unconscious competence. So you don't think about it, you just do it. So what I mean by that is in terms of wording. So remember how I said you're expressing anger as you present, passion, anger, whatever you want to say. What you're doing is you're expressing your emotions, but at the same time, you have to pay really close attention to how you say what you say. That's what I'm paying attention to when I actually present. But ultimately, it comes down to the underlying foundation of expressing anger, expressing emotions as I talk. And then from there, everything else is going to take care of itself. So for example, if I were to just say, this will change your life. In fact, I'd put a little too much tone in there. This will change your life. So if I just said that, this will change your life. You don't really feel like it's going to change your life. On the other hand, if I said, this will absolutely, hands down, change the course of your life. You see the difference between the two? This will change your life. What I'm about to tell you next is going to change your life. Versus, listen very closely. What I'm about to tell you next will change your life forever. And so you just pay attention to how you're using your words, the tonality, and from that it's just a matter of emotions. When I say that, I'm doing it from a standpoint of expressing how I feel when I say it that sort of way. So that's what I'm doing. When I screw up, there are times when I screw up, right? I mean, sometimes I know everybody thinks I'm perfect. I'm like, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm close, but not perfect. So when I screw up, I don't care. Literally, I can say something, I can screw up or whatever, and I just say, oh, whoops. Literally, I don't care when I screw up. That's one of the biggest problems people have when they're presenting, whether it's doing a live presentation, whether it's just video. They screw up and they're like, damn it, oh man, and they stop it. I screw up, I'm just like, well, people will find it funny. And so that's literally what I do, unless it's a screw up where I literally forget what I'm going to say, which doesn't happen during the live because I have notes. But if it happens for some reason when I'm filming a YouTube video, I just forget, like, yeah, and so what do I want to say again? I've done that a few times before. So if it's something like that, then sure, I'll start over. But when I screw up, it doesn't really matter. And it's just like here, I actually wrote, I misread notes and say, what the hell did I write? So I do that all the time. I'll look at the notes, or maybe I'll write it too long so it'll be like a sentence or two sentences instead of a bullet point. So I'll glance and I won't read it. So I'll glance like that. I'm like, what the fuck did I write? And so I got to look at it again, and I'll just stare, and I'll be like, what did I write? And at that point, I'm actually reading it. And so I don't care if I screw up. It's when you screw up, that's actually what keeps people's attention. So I should probably try to screw up more, but when you're perfect, it's hard to screw up. So when I actually present, or when you're presenting, doing your Facebook Lives, the main thing you want to pay attention to, the main metric is engagement. Not engagement. I mean engagement, I guess, in terms of watch time. I guess that's what I really mean. Watch time. So how long are they engaged in terms of watching you doing your live session? Are they watching you through most of the time? I mean, is it maybe 5 minutes and bam, most people drop? So that's what I'm paying attention to when I present. When I go look at the analytics, what I'm doing, I'm just literally looking to see how long are people staying on the live session. So there is a metric. No, I didn't write it down here. Basically when you go to Facebook, it shows you the metrics and it tells you like when people drop off. So what I'll do is I'll see, oh, people dropped off here. What did I say? Or what did I say or didn't say? So I'll go back and I'll look to see what was happening maybe 20 seconds before that, and I'll watch 20 seconds before that, and then I'll say, okay, people dropped off here. What happened? And if I see, oh, there was dead time right there, or I don't know. I'll just see, and I'll say, okay, what happened right there? So that's what I'm doing in terms of seeing where people drop off at, or maybe what I was talking about. That's how I realized, hey, when I come out with more detailed stuff, people say they want it, but when you do it, people, they don't watch it as much. They don't watch the whole thing because it's too damn detailed. They're not in the right state of mind. And so when I noticed that with the metrics, I said, okay, I just won't come out with insanely detailed stuff anymore. And so that's what I'm doing. You're just looking at metrics like that, see where do people drop off. And then when you see where people drop off, all you're doing is just going back to that moment, a little bit before that moment, and then looking to see, all right, damn, why do people drop off there? That's pretty much what I'm doing. It's really, really important that you're only going to get really good at presenting on Facebook Live by doing it. You're not going to get good by sitting there and just thinking about it and writing down notes. All right, use energy and all. You're not going to get good by doing that. You have to get good by actually doing it. This is one of the things that people keep saying, do it. Practice, practice, practice. But you really do have to practice. You have to understand that no one piece of content is going to make or break you. No matter how good you think that piece of content is, even if it goes viral, it's not going to make or break you. Well, I guess depending on how viral, but you're not going to all of a sudden come up with the Gundam style. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You're not going to do that. And so when you're producing content, you just produce content and then you'll naturally get better over time. Just remember that people forget what you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. So that's what you're focusing on when you're actually presenting, doing the live stuff. Practice, practice, practice. Now, if there were any questions whatsoever, then I'll go back and I'll look at him. So let's see. Looking forward to an interesting Trump speech tonight. Trump should be doing Facebook Live. Yep. So yeah, I guess we'll see that. So he said, thanks for sharing so many secrets. Yep, no problem. You're hilarious. Cool. I'm glad that Christy likes it. Let's see. Any questions? I think there was a question that was on there, but for some reason it didn't post. I couldn't see the question. I could see the question on here, but I couldn't see it on here for some reason. So let's see. You said, instead of glancing to the side monitor, wouldn't you recommend using a teleprompter app that's proximal to your camera? So no, the reason why I don't do that is because it's just more work for me. So my computer is going to be here with or without a teleprompter. It is always going to be here. So there's no reason for me to say, like, I can put a teleprompter right here, but once again, I'm scrolling. So I have to scroll with all this stuff. I'm not using word for words. I'm not saying things word for word. I don't need a teleprompter. I need something where I can be able to scroll. And I did think in terms of if I could put something right here and I could just like scroll from here. I don't have to like reach. I don't have to be like, if I don't have to do that, then I would, but I didn't think of anything. I was thinking maybe I buy another iPad and then I could do something like that. But the problem is a scrolling part. So I thought scrolling. And once again, this, people don't really notice it. I glance over. It doesn't really matter in terms of that. It's not a big deal. So that's why I didn't care about that. So let's see. Well, I said never noticed it. All right, let's see what else. Anger, passion. You're the Mike Tyson of online marketing. Yep. All right, let's see. You're hilarious. I don't even know like which parts you guys are commenting on because remember how there's the lag time. So let's see. So Nick said, so how do I get people to feel good when they watch my vids in live stream? Ultimately you're thinking in terms of transferring emotion. That's what you ultimately want to think about. It's not even about, well, I guess it's best to get people to feel good, but what you're doing is you're transferring emotions. So when you're presenting, you say, okay, here's what I'm going to present on some topic, water bottles or something. You're simply transferring your emotion, passion, anger, whatever you want to call it. Anger is the most powerful. But you're transferring your emotion. So if you're passionate about this water bottle, I'm like, look guys, I mean, this thing, it is hands down the best water bottle you've ever seen in your life. It's firm. That's what she said. It's firm. If I were to drop it, bounce back up. It's really, you can flip it. You can juggle with the thing. Whoops. And so like what you're doing is you're expressing you're expressing how you feel, and then that is going to transfer to other people. That's what you're ultimately doing. So if you try to think along the lines of how do I make people feel good, then you're getting outside of your head, whereas you should be expressing how you feel, and then people are naturally going to feel that way. So let's see. Brandon said, any good recommendations for camera equipment? I find my camera on my smartphone isn't good enough. I've used, and speaking of, I'll say that in just a second. It's not good enough. I've used a prompter app, which is timed, but I'm not a fan if I happen to look away and then I'm lost with the script. So are you doing live? Let's see. So you use a prompter app. Are you doing live, Brandon, or is this just a pre-recorded video? So if you're doing let's see, find my camera almost. So the camera that I recommend, so this camera is a Canon XF 400. There's probably a better version. This is great for Facebook Live, especially here in the high rise. The DSLR camera that I have, which is over there, it is the Sony A7 III. If I were to buy a different camera, I would buy a different camera, by the way. That is a great camera for videographers, all that. The problem is that it doesn't have a flip out screen. So I had to buy an external monitor to see it. In fact, I'm going to get it for you guys. So this is the Sony A7 III. Normally, you just want to have a camera where the screen here in the back, it just flips out. And that's the camera I did have at first, and that was the Canon T6i. So it just flips out. So I didn't need this thing here. So I didn't need this monitor. And so here, like you see in the back, there's also a big ass battery that needs to go there for this to turn on. So it was just too damn much. I'm like, I didn't really think about it at the time. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. And so this is the whole setup in terms of this camera. Great camera, everything, but it's just the fact that the thing doesn't flip out kind of pisses me off. And so I heard the Canon T7i is really good. It kind of depends on your budget. If you're going to get one of these, like this is a good camera, but still, in terms of actually vlogging, like, look at this. I mean, sitting there holding this camera, you're talking, holding this thing, your arm's going to get tired. My arm's not, because I've been working out, I've been boxing, but your arm's going to get tired. And so you're sitting there, you're doing this with all this, and like, bam, naturally you're like, damn it. So in terms of actual camera equipment, I just recommend going on YouTube. You go on YouTube, and I would just type in like best vlogging camera 2019. I would do things like that, and then that's what I do from there. What you don't want to do is you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff. So even like with this camera, I just said, all right, let me look for a great camera. I heard great things about this. Bam, buy. That's literally what I did. I'm not sitting there trying to spend a month trying to figure out which camera to get, because ultimately they're all pretty much the same. Sure, this quality is way better than the iPhone, but still, it's more about the activity that I'm engaging in. It doesn't matter what camera. So if you're going to do a camera for Facebook Live, something like the Canon XF 400 is good. If you're going to do like vlogging, the Sony A7 III is good if you don't mind the non-flip out screen, if you don't mind that sort of setup. Or I don't even know what other cameras there are, to be honest. All right, there's that. Let's see. And then there was another part. You said you use the prompter app, which is timed. All right, so you said mostly pre-recorded. All right, so if you're doing pre-recorded, then yeah, you can definitely get a camera like this, a Sony A7 III. You can do, your phone is just fine, to be honest, if they're pre-recorded. But pre-recorded, there's no reason to really use a teleprompter. In fact, I forgot to talk about this. When you know your stuff, you don't need a teleprompter. That's why I tend to tell people you want to talk about what you really, really know, like what you know and what you're doing. So let's say when you tell a story about something that happened in the past, some sort of story that you have, some experience. You tell a story. Do you need a teleprompter to tell that story? Absolutely not, because you know it. You're just like, well, it happened to me. I don't need a teleprompter to tell the story. The only reason you need a teleprompter is because you don't actually know the details of what it is you're talking about. And so Or it's like an insanely long video. So if it's insanely long, then yeah, you can use a teleprompter. But if it's just a short 5-minute pre-recorded video, you don't really need a teleprompter. What you do is you just say, here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about microphones. I'm talking about the best microphone. So at that point, you just say, all right, what are the points I want to talk about with the microphone? And then you say, okay, what is it? What's it called? There's two different types of microphones. I forgot what they're called. Well, as you can see, I can't talk about microphones. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, all right, in terms of microphones, I'm talking about which one, the Shure SM7B versus the RE27, which one sounds better. And so you don't need a teleprompter because you know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, this one sounds better. It's more clear, and you just know what to talk about. So if it's a short video, I just recommend you got to talk about what you truly, truly know, and then what you're truly, truly doing. That's what you ultimately want to do. Then you don't need a teleprompter. If it's longer stuff, then yeah, you can use a teleprompter. But once again, you have to remember it's all about expressing emotions. It's not about the actual words that you're using. And so that's what I say with that. But yeah, in terms of the actual cameras, what I did, I just went to YouTube and I just said best camera of 2018, best camera 2019, best camera 2020. That's what I did, and I just looked to see what were people talking about, and then I just bought one. All right, that's a good one. All right, so let's see. Tammy said, do you know how to use green screen for digital backgrounds? Yeah, I mean, I got a green screen literally right over there. But the green screen, what I found is that it just required too much. It was just too much setup. I'm like, man, you got the green screen. I'm like, all right, you got to light the green screen right so your shadow, there's no shadow on the green screen, because if there is, it won't cut you out right. So you got to light it right. Then there might be like a little glow around you, so there might be a green glow, especially if you don't light it right. There's all sorts of problems with the green screen, so I'm like, I don't really need a green screen. Plus, I'm in a high rise. Well, what do I need a green screen for? But in terms of the green screens, something like that, I would honestly recommend doing something like you go to Craigslist and just find a videographer, and then the videographer can come to your place and he can set up the green screen. He can say, all right, here's the lighting. So you can literally just stand there. You're just standing there. He sets up the lighting for you, and you just mark those spots in terms of where the lights need to be. So that way, if you ever move the lights, you still have those spots, and you're like, all right, the lighting needs to be set up here. And so you need to have lighting on the background, on the green screen. You need to have lighting on you. And so I was just like, it's too much. I don't want a damn green screen. So that's why I didn't do the green screens. All right, so I guess we are good to go. There was a question someone asked, but showed up on here, didn't show up on here for some reason. So I don't know what's up with that. That was kind of weird. All right, so we are good to go for today. I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And remember, actually, if you guys want to, for all you non-Speak Pro Academy members, if you guys want to check out a demo version of the Speak Pro Academy, go to speakproacademy.com/demo, and you can see pretty much everything that's inside the Speak Pro Academy, but you don't have access to the content. So I took out all the content. There's no videos, none of that. I just took out all the content, but you can see what's actually in there. Like you can read, all right, here's the resources, here's this. You can actually see what's inside of there. So go to speakproacademy.com and you'll see all that. And if you guys want to join Speak Pro Academy, go to speakproacademy.com and I'll help you guys get booked on stages. All right, so we are good to go. No more questions. All right, cool. So I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care, everybody. Adios, deuces, peace. See you later.